Hey guys, what is up? How's everything going? Today I really wanted to talk more about being yourself, especially when you're constantly around others. I mean, we all spend time around other people. We're social creatures, after all. Humans are very tribalistic. We socialize a lot. That's cool, that's great. But it's a pretty well established phenomenon, we'll call it, that you become a lot like the other people around you. You know, typically the people closest to you, we see it in our daily lives, how we pick up their mannerisms, the way that they talk, the certain things that they say, the little phrases that they use, things like that. But on a much deeper level, we even have a tendency to end up becoming like them. That includes mimicking their levels of discipline, their work ethic, even their success or lack thereof. So I want to make sure that I'm really driving home how important it is to be yourself. All right, plenty of people think that they're doing a good job at being themselves, and I'm sure plenty of people are doing a good job at being themselves. But I mean, like, truly, genuinely, and authentically. Like, when you want to buy a new thing, be honest with yourself. Do you really want that thing? And even if you do, are you sure you want it as much as you want the appraisal for getting it? Many times, especially in our like classic Western culture, we use the iPhone for example. Getting the newest iPhone is definitely a big thing that I don't know. We'll call it basic people want to make sure that they stay on top of, because it's an expensive phone. It's a well-known product, and it's something that is almost a status symbol. If you have a phone from 2 or 3 generations ago and you're in a pretty basic crowd of people, a comment's going to be made about how old your phone is. And obviously that's a very simplistic example. It can go even deeper when it comes to fashion and cars and all kinds of stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with liking those things. I've certainly met people who want the phone specifically for the status, and I've met people who want the phone because it's got some great upgraded technology in it, upgraded and updated technology. I've known people that want the car because it looks cool, and I've known people that want the car because of all the new features, gadgets, and gizmos and stuff that I don't know anything about. I'm not a car person, but they do, and you can tell how deeply interested they are in the subject. It can be difficult to discern sometimes upon first meeting someone. When you really get to know them, it can be pretty easy to tell the type of mannerisms and demeanor that they have for these objects and these statements of status, as we'll call it. And there's, like I've said a moment ago, there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting those things. You are here on this planet at this time with desires for a reason. I don't think any aspect of you is evil. However, it takes a very disciplined and well-versed person to be able to look deeply within themselves and say, because I want that item, do I truly just want the item, or am I abusing my want? I've spoken in previous videos about moderation and the middle way. And when we grow up in a very westernized culture and a first world country, in particular, it can very much become the norm to just want and want and want and want and want. And we wouldn't actually even realize that we're abusing our desires, that we're wanting more than we should. It seems like the norm for us. And that's a big part of the reason why certain select people don't actually know who they are, even though that they will claim that they do. And when I say know who they are, I mean know who they are deeply and on an intimate, almost spiritual or even a spiritual level, knowing who they are at the core of their person. That doesn't necessarily mean absolutely eradicating all of your desires like some of the great spiritual masters out there, Eckhart Tolle or whoever may come to mind for you. That's great for them, and if that's your goal, to be so far along in the spiritual path, then by all means pursue that. But for many people, they don't necessarily want to do that at this point in their life, to be willing to give up every single thing that brings them a certain form of sensational pleasure. But again, moderation is key, the middle way. You have to make sure that you're not abusing your desires, abusing the wants that you have because of the privilege of living in a first world country. Right? Make sure to remember and be grateful for everything that you currently have. Each time you enter into a meditative state, be it using transcendental meditation, be it walking in the woods, be it drawing or painting or a sport or whatever it is, just at some point during that activity, give thanks, be grateful for what you currently have, for all the sadness and pain and the happiness and joy, for all of it. Be grateful for it. Be grateful of the good things that have come and given you such pleasure, and be grateful for the bad things that have come and given you such lessons. Right? Because they all play an integral role in developing who we are as a person, and how we develop who we are as people will ultimately end up deciding the type of society that we're going to have in the near future. Many of us, the chosen, have come here to show humanity that there is a different way of acting. And that does not necessarily mean that you have to eradicate all desires. Like, I have a PlayStation. I like to play video games. I don't feel like eradicating that desire. It doesn't seem like something that resonates with me at this point in my life, and I really don't think that it ever will. I came to this planet to experience both the trials and tribulations and the absolute magnificent joy and love. I came to experience the whole spectrum of all of it. And I intend to, because why would I want to deprive myself of the entirety of an experience that I chose to have in the first place? But again, moderation is key. Like, let's use sleep as an example. It's great to sleep in sometimes. I've slept in for 10, 11, 12 hours, but I don't do it every single day, and I don't really even do it that often. Most of the time, if I'm gonna sleep in, it'll be for 9, maybe 10 hours, but then after that, gotta get up. There's stuff to do that day, even if it's stuff to do with your friends, right? Moderation is always going to be key. Always. It helps keep you on, for lack of a better term, the straight and narrow, but that has kind of too many religious connotations to it, so I don't typically want to use that phrase, but it does. Like, think of it as a balancing act and using moderation to help keep you balanced. You got both of your arms out, and you don't want to lean too much to one side or lean too much to the other side. You have to make sure you remain in a state of moderation, and if you lean too much on one side, you might have to go and put a little bit of extra force onto the other side, but make sure that it balances out in the end. Otherwise, you're just going to keep doing this over and over and over again in your life, and you're not going to be able to stay very well balanced. It's definitely something that many people, especially people in the first world, think that they have an intellectual understanding of, but can't even begin to fathom that which they don't understand of it, let alone understanding the first basic principles of it. We've all seen that picture of like an iceberg and only the tip of it showing at the top. The majority of people that claim to understand the whole picture can't even yet see the tip. All right, but the people who manage to find this message, I'm sure you can see that and even understand how much there is underneath the water. And that's why you're trying to steer clear of going into that negative path. All right? Be wary of people that tend to go down that path, because there will be a lot of them in your life, and I'm sure we already have plenty of them in our lives now. That doesn't mean you have to remove them from your life, unless, of course, they're fitting the circumstances of toxicity, like I've gone over in previous videos. Use that discernment to decide whether or not they actually need to be removed from your life or not. But I don't necessarily think that just because someone is a superficial person, we'll say, that they just automatically need to be gone from your life. It has to do with their attitude. It has to do with their mannerisms and demeanor toward you. All right, if it's truly something that you see as ultimately toxic and you don't want that seeping into your life, then do what you believe is necessary. Do what you have to do to maintain your own sovereignty. All right, continue to be you. Be you ultimately, unapologetically, and authentically. Be you to the greatest extent that you can. Some people might end up falling to the wayside, and to be honest, that's great. Being you has its own wonderful filter for people that aren't going to be good for you in your life. It will just constantly swat them away without you even having to put any effort in, because being you is about as authentic and as easy as you could possibly make it. And if you're coming from the path from someone who hasn't been yourself, or someone who has been enthralled in superficial things the majority of your life, it can be kind of daunting at first, because the friends and the people around you that you've built up, they care so much about these simplistic instant gratification type things and the appraisal of other people, that you're going to start losing that as you begin developing who you are as a person and stepping into your own individuality and sovereignty. And it can be almost destructive. The ego can think that it's dying when it isn't constantly getting that praise that it has been getting its whole life. Just like a drug, it's been getting it, and it's been getting that dopamine hit off of what people say over and over and over and over again. But now it just suddenly stops, and the opposite is happening, and you're having to find your own self-validation. And that can be a daunting task in and of itself. But as I have said, you are empowered. You came here for that righteous and unbelievably important task of being you. That's it. You don't necessarily have to save the world from any supervillain. You don't necessarily have to go and, do a grand task and cure cancer and all these things that we typically associate a great person with doing, with curing a disease, with creating a new item. You're just here to help anchor in the light, to help bring and spread love to others. And the less masks that you wear, masks of this world that you wear, the easier it is going to be for you to shine. And that's exactly what each and every person in this group here needs to do, is shine bright. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that, some people got to take something positive away from this. I'm always trying to boost people's spirits up here, because I kind of want y'all to recognize that you are all that you need. You are the all, you are the one. Please like, comment, subscribe. It definitely helps me out. Looking to grow my channel so I can spread the message to more people. Please be safe, be well, be happy. I love you. Namaste and all that goodness. Thank you again for watching.